Although it's not officially the reason, NIL is keeping some of college football's biggest stars with their teams for at least one more season. Meanwhile, we have some pretty big coaching news as well. All of that and more on today's episode of 4th and 10. 4 college football stories in just around 10 minutes. Now, let's go for it. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. So there's some pretty big names in college football that announced they'd be returning to their school in 2023. For these players, they could have either entered the transfer portal or declared for the NFL draft. But because of NIL and how much money they're able to make now at their school, I think it's playing a role in a lot of these players' decisions, and I think we're going to see a lot of this moving forward. As I mentioned, there were a number of top players in the country that announced they'd be returning next season as opposed to entering the transfer portal or declaring for the NFL draft. The first player is Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr., who announced he'd be returning for one more season. He posted this on social media, saying, "After long talks with family, coaches, and other trusted support, I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life for what I feel is best for my future. And with that being said, as I look back on this special season we had, I realized there were so many great moments and things to celebrate. But I know there is so much more out there for this team, and the job is still not finished. I can't wait to be back playing in Husky Stadium for the 2023 season." Michael Penix Jr. transferred from Indiana after 4 seasons with the program. He had by far his best season in 2022, as he threw for more than 4,300 yards with 29 passing touchdowns, while also rushing for 4 touchdowns as well. Penix Jr. led the Pac-12 in pass completions and was number 4 in the entire country. But the most impressive stat from his season were his 4,300 passing yards, which not only led the conference, led the entire country as well. Washington had a very surprising season in 2022, as not many people expected them to be a 10-win team. Well, with Penix Jr. back for next season, Washington has a chance to be a legitimate contender once again in the Pac-12. Instead of declaring for the 2023 draft, in which he would have been one of the top wide receiver prospects, LSU wide receiver Keyshawn Boutte announced he'd be returning to LSU in 2023. He posted on social media saying, "LSU has been nothing but amazing to me. My growth under the new staff has helped me reach new levels. While we did not achieve the overall goal, we still fought and produced results that will be a stepping stone for future success. The goal is always to win a national championship at LSU, and that'll never change. We made strides this year, but ultimately fell short. That is why I believe we can accomplish many things moving forward. I believe in this team, coaches, strength staff, nutrition staff, and training staff. It is important to follow your dreams and live with the results. While some stories will end here, mine will not. Let's lock in and focus on the main goal of any LSU Tiger, winning a national championship." Like I mentioned, this one was a little surprising considering Boutte was one of the top wide receiver prospects of this entire class. Overall, it was a pretty down season for him. He caught 48 passes for 500 yards with only 2 receiving touchdowns. This is coming off a 2021 campaign in which he had 9 receiving touchdowns in only 6 games. Even in his freshman season in 2020, he caught 45 passes for over 700 yards with 5 receiving touchdowns. This is a huge addition for LSU next season as they retain their best wide receiver. Another quarterback that's going to be returning for another season is UTSA quarterback Frank Harris, who's going to be returning for his 7th season. Yep, you heard that right. This is going to be his 7th season with UTSA. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, how in the world is this possible? Well, he redshirted his first season back in 2017. Then he missed all of 2018 with an injury and was limited to only 4 games next season after another season-ending injury. After both the redshirt and medical redshirts, he's eligible for another season due to the COVID waiver that granted players an extra year. Frank Harris had a fantastic season for the Roadrunners in 2022. He completed 71% of his passes for just under 4,000 yards with 31 passing touchdowns. He also added 600 yards on the ground with 9 rushing scores. Overall, he's arguably the greatest player in the history of UTSA. He has 34 different school records during his time with the Roadrunners. He just led the team to their second straight Conference USA championship. And with UTSA set to join the American Conference next season, they'll get their quarterback back in what's expected to be the most anticipated season in the history of UTSA. The next one isn't all that surprising considering he had at least another year there, but there were many rumors speculating that Drake May could be leaving North Carolina and transferring to another program. But he put those rumors to rest yesterday as he tweeted out this photo saying, "Could never leave this place, I'm a Tar Heel." There were multiple reports saying that some of the top programs in the country were willing to offer him 6 digits in order to transfer to their program, but Drake May made it clear that he's staying in North Carolina next season. One player that won't be staying at their school next season is West Virginia quarterback JT Daniels, who once again is putting his name in the transfer portal. For Daniels, this will be his 4th different team after playing with USC, Georgia, and West Virginia. Daniels still has another year of eligibility remaining, and he could actually have 2 depending on whether or not he gets a medical redshirt for his 2019 season. Daniels started 10 games for West Virginia in 2022 as he threw for 2,100 yards with 13 passing touchdowns. The season got off to a pretty hot start for West Virginia and for Daniels, but things slowly started to turn around when they became a more run-heavy team. Then eventually they changed quarterbacks, going to Garrett Green as JT Daniels then came off the bench in the final few games of the season. Things just haven't gone as planned for JT Daniels as he's bounced around from team to team as being considered one of the top quarterback recruits of his entire class. Throughout his career, he's thrown for 7,000 yards with 45 passing touchdowns. As JT Daniels is ready to go on to his 4th different program, maybe next season will finally be the year that he breaks out and has a solid campaign. But at this point, I just don't think JT Daniels has really proven all that much and that he's worthy of being a starting quarterback at the Power 5 level. But who knows, maybe he goes somewhere and proves me wrong next season. Now, this is an interesting transfer as South Carolina tight end Austin Stogner announced that he'd be transferring back to Oklahoma after transferring away from Oklahoma last year. Stogner spent 3 seasons with Oklahoma before he left with Spencer Rattler to go to the Gamecocks, but he just didn't have a fantastic season for South Carolina in 2022. He started 10 of 12 games and only caught 20 passes for 200 yards with a touchdown. His best season came at Oklahoma in 2020 when he caught 26 passes for 400 yards with 3 touchdowns. Obviously, there's been so many players that have transferred over the years, but I can't remember a player that transferred away from his program only to come back a year later. There's one more player that entered the transfer portal that I want to talk about, and it's not for the reason you're likely thinking of. Mississippi State running back Dylan Johnson put his name in the portal after spending 3 seasons with Mississippi State. This past season, he was quite productive as he rushed for 500 yards with 3 touchdowns while catching 48 passes for 300 yards. During his tenure with the Bulldogs, he's rushed for 1,200 yards with 11 touchdowns while catching 150 passes for 800 yards with a receiving touchdown. Again, pretty solid numbers, but the reason I have him on today's video is for something pretty wild. So he posted his intent to transfer on social media, and upon looking at this, it looks like any other post. But when you read it, things take a complete 180 and go somewhere you likely weren't expecting. I'll just start right here in the middle, and you'll know when things take a turn. To Mississippi State University, my teammates, trainers, and amazing fans, it has been an honor to participate in this program with you all. Together, you guys have helped me build my character and skills tremendously. With that being said, since I am not very tough, and Leach is glad I am leaving, I will be entering my name into the transfer portal with the hopes of finding a more fit playing environment for me. Now initially, seeing this had all of social media talking, as I can't remember a transfer portal announcement quite like this. I mean, it started off just fine and normal, but at the end, he calls out Mike Leach for saying that he's not very tough. As if this wasn't shocking enough, we actually had a recording drop today of Mike Leach supposedly calling him out.
And they're especially not going to be excited about a guy that leaves. So Dylan Johnson's leaving, and I'm actually sort of glad because I don't think he's very tough. And then, so Dylan Johnson's leaving.
So I'm guessing Dillon Johnson heard this and wanted out, but this is just a crazy story overall. Alright, we'll head to the coaching news where we have some notable moves. The biggest move is Louisville hiring former Purdue coach Jeff Brom to be their new head football coach. During his time with the Boilermakers, Brom went 36-34 and went 17-9 the past 2 seasons. He helped them get to their first Big Ten West Division title this past weekend, but they fell to Michigan in the conference title game. His contract is expected to be for 6 years and up to $35 million. Brom had a pretty solid career back at Louisville a couple decades ago. He threw for 5,400 yards with 38 passing touchdowns and went 15-10 as a starter. He served as the Louisville assistant coach from 2003 to 2008. After leaving Louisville, he made stops at Florida Atlantic, Illinois, UAB, and Western Kentucky before he became the Boilermakers coach. Brom actually turned down the Louisville job following the end of the 2018 season in order to stay at Purdue. But with the job opening up once again, this was a job that he just couldn't turn down again. Our final bit of coaching news is Charles Kelly joining Colorado as their new defensive coordinator. Kelly recently was Alabama's associate defensive coordinator and safeties coach. He spent the past 4 seasons at Alabama. Prior to that, he was the defensive coordinator at Florida State under Jimbo Fisher from 2014 through 2017. He then spent a season at Tennessee in 2018 as a special teams coordinator and safeties coach before he went to Alabama. Once again, this is another impressive ad for Deion Sanders as he continues to build a pretty solid coaching staff. Well, that wraps it up for today's episode of 4th and 10. What are your thoughts on all the players that opted to stay for another season and what we're seeing happen in the transfer portal? Also, what are your thoughts on the latest coaching news and what do you think of the potential hires? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.